Hi guys, this is Michael from the Board Games Chronicle. Today I have a real pleasure, a real honor to present to you a Guest of Robin Hood, a game by Fred Serval, and published by GMT Games. This will be an exciting story of justice and order, of Robin Hood and his merry men, and the Sheriff of Nottingham and his henchmen. We all know this story, this fairy tale, this ballad, you can say. When I was young, I was watching a lot of movies, yeah, with Robin Hood, for example, the TV series from 1980s, and then the blockbuster movie with Kevin Costner. So I believe most of us are known about and familiar with this very iconic figure. What we are getting here is a beautiful game, which is kind of an entry level type, which will introduce you to game mechanics which stem from the coin games. Yeah, okay, a very scary, let's say, word. Coin games, heavy game, long game. Not here. This is the game which Fred, and when you read his designer diary, will see, would like to streamline in a way which will allow us and allow our colleagues who have never touched this system to have a very gentle entry into the fascinating world of the coin games. What we will do today is this will be a short material. We actually do the unboxing and overview because I don't want only to show you the components. I want you also to understand a bit about the game mechanics. Although the components are gorgeous, even looking at the box, it's looking fantastic. But when you see the map, man, it will be even better. I would like you also to understand some basic game mechanics, how the game flows, and then later on do a more detailed material on how to play, maybe do some example of play and so on and so forth. But for today, unboxing and overview. So the box, it's not the overly big box, it's like 2 inches box, you see, which has a very nice back with art explanation of the game. Also, as always for GMT, the suitability for the solitary play, complexity, and other characteristics over here. When we open the box, it's sturdy, nicely done. First thing which we will see, let me put like this so you can see it nicely and properly, will be 3 books, I would call it. It will be rules of play, learn to play, and playbook. Each of them having slightly different, let's say, goal and slightly different content. By the way, I love the color palette. My wife, when she first saw it, said, "Wow, it looks beautiful." And women are the best, judges of the art and how the things look like. I like the pictures, the font, and also the color palette, but I also like the split which was done here into 3. The rules of play, in essence, will be a typical GMT-like, coin-like rule book with all the rules placed there. Not overly long for this game, you should see. It will be like 11 pages where you actually discuss the rules. The rest will be some manifests of the tokens, of the cards, and so on. Then you will have a learn to play, which is recommended to start with when you would like to set up the game and see how the game flows. So it explains some basic, mechanics and basic game components, and then asks you put the components on the map, and let's start to do the example of play. Yeah, so this is how it goes. And the playbook is usually something which allows you to go deeper into the game, to understand what was behind it, what thought was with the designer and developer, and I should not forget developer, Joe DeWurst, who was helping here Fred to make sure that this game is published and is published of such quality. So in playbook, here we have some background information about history, about arts. We have designer notes. You have developer notes. All these things which are important to get deeper into the game. Let's have a look quickly into each of them. So rules of play. By the way, guys, one comment which I should make. I love non-glossy books. I love the rule book which is not glossy, which is not reflecting the light, and which does not make my eyes hurt. So really like the choice of not using the glossy paper here. So the rule book is a typical, as I told you, pretty, let's say, dry, but this is, of course, a normal thing. You go rule by rule with the components, with the elements. There are some interesting mentions in the meantime. Designer notes, I see that Fred Serval is following the best examples of Mark Herman. You know, Mark Herman rule books are full of very direct and I would say clever comments. Here you will also have some of them. So it explains us how do we set up the deck, that there are no resources but will be played with shillings, that there will be, the areas that parishes can be submit or revolt. Then it tells us a little about the play of game, mainly about plots and about deeds. I really like how Fred used here the medieval language and medieval, theme to actually cover the basic coin mechanics. What are the plots and deeds? Plots and deeds are operations and special abilities, but they are streamlined in a way that they are not overly complex and very easy to grasp here, with a lots of examples of play. There are the cards, the three types of cards. We have the event cards. First of all, we have fortune cards, and there will be inspections, which are kind of a propaganda cards from the coin, which reset the game and checks victory conditions. Then we have royal inspection described. As I told you, the rule book finishes at 11. So this is really an entry-level game. Although, when I told my wife, will you play with me Robin Hood? This is an entry-level game. How much is the rule book? How many pages? 11. Honestly, you really have completely different understanding of what is entry and what is easy to grasp. Okay, I said I will play with kids. They love to play with me, so and with my buddy. So 11 pages, let's say for us, let's say fans of a military history and political games. I believe this is not overly compact. Then you have nicely done the key items and terms here described, and also how to set up the deck, the manifest of the counters, and the setup of the game. I like it because for example, you have this also in the Levian campaign, sometimes in coin games, to have the setup done in graphical way. That helps you very quickly, to put all the elements and do it quickly. What do we have in Learn to Play? We'll have a quick introduction of the most important aspects and concepts. How to win, what do we have on the map, what do we have on the player mates, and also what the counters means. Then also a bit about the components like cards, merrymen and henchmen, sequence of play, and then we immediately jump on the page 6 to the example of play. And this is the best way to learn. When you observe how the game flows, you will simply follow it. I believe recording this example of play would be a good idea because it goes through the whole turn. I believe there will be like 7 events played before the royal inspection. And of course, you can play further this game. Here is the situation at the end after the first royal inspection, or you can start your own game from the beginning, from the initial setup. Okay, here we have even the Robin Hood ballad. So it's really thematic game. I really like how it was prepared. And then we have a playbook. So the stuff which allows you to dig deeper into the game to understand what was motivating designer, what the developer has to make sure is covered in the game, and also some background information about the history of Robin Hood. So yeah, it will be more text, probably less pictures here when it describes all this stuff. But yeah, as I told you, this allows for a deep dive into the game. We have even here, that was interesting when I was checking online, reading the ballad by Fred Cervantes and George Woolsey. There's a ballad which is actually created out of the cards. I would need to double check it. This is some fun stuff which was added here. Not a typical thing. Yeah, card tips and background. That helps when you have a card and you don't fully understand what does it do. You can always go read it, check the tips, also check the historical background or mythical background. Let's be honest. Yeah. So these are all the cards which are described. There are also travelers cards which are described because Robin Hood, what he was doing, he was robbing. He was robbing, of course, Nottingham. He was robbing the sheriff's cards, but he was also robbing the individual travelers, and you never know whom you will encounter. Then we have biography and designer notes. This is a cool stuff. I know, guys, that probably when you start playing the game, you simply focus on the rules, scenarios, and victory conditions. But what I'm doing, I'm always reading through the designer notes and also developer notes. It helps you to really grasp what the author would like to achieve, what decisions were made, what choices he has to do. So I believe this is a really cool stuff. Fred really nicely describes his path to creating this game, to finding the theme which he would like to cover, the goal of bringing the very light coin game disguised as non-coin game with a very attractive theme which will appeal to much broader, let's say, spectrum of players than only war gamers or historical board gamers. So I believe he succeeded in this. He really succeeded. Then we have a very brief Joe section. I really appreciate how Joe helps with development of many games. He's a very systematic, analytical mind from what I can read his articles, and he makes sure that the things are done on time, with quality, and with a focus. So this is really good. We have acknowledgements, okay, and that will be all. So these are the three main books which are used with the game. Then, before we jump to the map, let me put it aside for a moment. What we have? What else do we have? We have a component. So this will be tokens. This will be shillings. I believe this will be 1 shilling, and this is 5 or 3. Let's see. This is a cool stuff. There's a lot of hidden information in this game, as we shall see. These are the 6 cards, which have different types. There are 3 different types of a card, and those cards are connected to what sheriff is doing. He is pillaging or taxing the parishes, and then he's trying to bring those cards back to Nottingham. But the Robin Hood does not know what kind of those 3 cards he actually chooses to take. Whether it will be a big haul of money, like 5, whether it will be a trap card, which has a defense value, I believe 2, and which can actually make sure that Merriman goes to prison, or it can be a special, let's say, card which maybe does not give so much money, but gives a lot of order, which is needed for the sheriff to win. So these are the shillings, these are the cards. Here we see that these are the markers whether the parishes submit or revolt. And we have, I believe, a special card which allows to build a bridge. This is the favor. I would need to check what is it. Royal inspection. Okay, royal inspection. And this is another bridge, I believe, yeah. Then we have player mates. And guys, this is very important. This game, as I told you, has a lot of hidden information, and you really need to hide and not disclose to your opponent what you are doing. The one is for the sheriff, and the other one is for the Robin Hood, but I believe they have the same information. Exactly, sequence of play, how order and justice are being calculated, how you do the rob, what kind of travelers we have, and royal inspection round. The same here, and this is really nice and beautiful. I like the iconography. You know, if you want to appeal to a broader spectrum of players, you really need to make sure that the game is also appealing from the, let's say, appearance side. Yeah? Then we have a player 8, and watch this. Sturdy, thick material. I like when they upgraded this in coin games. It's really, really nice. So this is for the sheriff, and this is for the Robin Hood. So we have a plot, operations, and we have deeds, so special activities. Available carriages, because the carriages will be used, as I told you, to bring the whole from the taxation or plunder. Forces. I will not go into details here. Yeah, it's not how to play game. So it also tells you how to do the setup and some strategy tips. Nice, really nice. Even the touch is very, very nice. Then what do we have here? We have some baggies. I will use cube for mid race, guys. I believe they will be great to use here. And there are two six-sided die, but they are special. You use them during the rob action, and they can modify your strength. And depending whether you rob somebody with defense and prepared, or maybe not, I believe the green is easier for Robin Hood. The red is harder for Robin Hood. So you roll them, then you compare the defense value and see whether you manage to rob. And then we have beautiful tarot size cards. Let me open them. These cards, as I told you, are mainly the event cards, just like in most card driven games. But we have also those travelers, because as mentioned, you can rob as Robin Hood not only sheriff or his cards, especially if there is nothing and you're low on money, but also the poor travelers. Some of them are not so poor. Okay, so I open the cards. Here is the special event. This is the event which happens to everybody, some fortune event. This is the regular event. Watch the beautiful graphics. It shows, for example, also how many cards the sheriff can move. There are two versions usually of the event. One which favors sheriff, one which favors Robin Hood. Another event, fortune event. This is a regular one. A lot of them, I believe, 26 cards, something like this. Yes. So these are the events. Fortune events are shuffled inside the regular event, and they change the dynamics of the game while not changing, not putting too much overhead. For example, in coin games, you have capabilities which factions can get. Here you don't have it, but still you have a changing, let's say, conditions of the game with those events. Another very subtle way to convey the coin mechanics without too much burden and too much overhead. And then we have 3 royal inspections, 1, 2, 3. After the third royal inspection, the King Richard returns, and he will check who was the actual villain, whether it was Sheriff of Nottingham, who is a static bandit, or maybe Robin Hood, who you can say is a mobile bandit, because they both were robbing the money, from the population. So this is to be checked who is the actual villain. And as I told you, there is also the deck of travelers. Here it is. You never know whom you will encounter. It could be rich merchant, it could be noble knight, Richard at the Lee, monks. They don't have too much value of, let's say, defense. Here the noble knight has two. This is a lot. The potter, the miller's son, bishop, and you also have some choices here. What to do? Fleece him, or invitation to dinner. If successful, gain 2 shillings and put the card in the discard pile. If failed, put the card in the discard pile. So at least you don't have some very negative, consequences. Yeah. There's also a way when you actually play the cards and you rob somebody, they go to the victims and pile, and if there is enough, let's say, cards in the victims pile, it means that some negative consequences for the Robin Hood, because sorry, you cannot only rob and rob people. They will get nervous. Last but not least are the components, which are the playing pieces. Let me put them here. So this is, of course, for marking where the operations, special activities and special operations will take place. So actually, the deeds and the plots. Here we have the markers which show who is first, who actually did and which action. We'll see on the map how it looks like. So first eligible, second eligible, and then what action they did. This will show us the 1 victory point track which is in the game, justice and order. These are the henchmen. Guys, do you recognize those nice knights from Levin campaign games? Exactly. Here we would have the Merryman, I believe. And where is the Robin Hood? These are the camps. You see, these are the camps which will be helping, the Robin Hood to get more money and more recruitment power. And these are the Merrymen. And they, as guerrillas in coin, are two-sided. But if you look at them carefully, most of them are just simply Merrymen. But one of them is Robin Hood. Exactly. And he can also disclose himself, and this will impact positively some of the actions, some of the plots and deeds he can do. So these are the components. Now let's have a final look at the map, because this is work of love. Simply, I cannot say it either. The map is not overly large. I told you this is a compact game, you can say. Let us go from the top. First of all, this is a beautiful map. I really like how it's done, how thematic it is. Here we have Nottinghamshire divided into the parishes. You can see the parishes. They are sometimes divided by the rivers, sometimes divided by the roads, or the borders. Here are the roads. Yeah, this is also the road. Here we have 2 woods, Southwell Forest and Shirewood. Then we have Nottingham. Here, this Ollerton Hill. It's impassable at the beginning of the game, so there is no crossing here. But then with some events, it can be, you can move through it. Then we have a justice track. And justice track is actually something which shows us who is now winning the game. Justice is, of course, Robin Hood. Order is, of course, the Sheriff of Nottingham. And this is a zero-sum game, so it's always somebody who has advantage. If you gain 1 justice, you jump here. If you gain 2 justice, you jump here. 5, 6, 7 are marked in shadowed color here and here, because at the royal inspection, if you are in this area, you will have possibility to automatically win the game. And so this is important, to understand. And there are not too many tracks. You see, there's only 1 track, pretty straightforward and pretty easy to grasp, which is used in this game. No resource tracks, no other tracks. By the way, there are no resources. There are shillings, coins, which is also very thematic. What else do we have? Very, very important track. Initiative. You probably know it. If you've seen my movies on the British way, or maybe played this game, you will see that this track, this very interesting track, comes from there. And I believe Fred actually mentions this in the rule book. This is borrowing with pride, definitely. And this is a cool stuff because how does it work? At the beginning of a game, the Robin Hood is first eligible. Let me just take the tokens. I want to show it to you. I know this is not how to play game, but still, this is such a great mechanic that I would like to show it to you. So at the beginning of a game, it's let me do it that way. It's Robin Hood who is first eligible. What he can do? He can choose a single plot, event, or plot and deeds. That means that if we have, for example, such a card, which is now being played, this is the event we have now, he can decide to either single plot, do one of those plots, only one. He can do the event, so this or this, probably he will go with the green part, or he can do plots and deeds, so combination of both. Of course, you need to pay for some of the plots and some of the deeds. You need to have a shillings for this, but still he has three choices. Let's say he wants to do the event. He goes here. Then the second eligible, so the sheriff, has two options. He can do a single plot, of course, from his plots, or he can do plots and deeds. If he does a single plot, next turn, he will be first to choose. If he does a much stronger plots and deeds because you do more actions, he will be second in the next turn. And sometimes you really want to be first. When you, for example, discover the Merry Men and Robin Hood in some area, you want to be able to capture them later. So this is very, very cool mechanic, and I like how it works for two players. There's also the option to pass. If Robin Hood passes, he occupies one of those three and takes one shilling. If Sheriff of Nottingham would like to pass, he actually chooses one of those three and takes as many shillings as written here. And usually, the insurgents, Robin Hood actions are cheaper than the government, in this case, sheriff, so he needs more money. What else do we have here? This is the royal inspection, so we'll be going through all the phases. It helps us to remember what to do. This is the prison. When the merry men are discovered and then captured, they go there. Every royal inspection reset phase, I believe half of them will come back. Even Robin Hood can go there. And this is it. No, one more thing. Used carriages. So when the carriages, manage to get to the Nottingham, they will be starting, like, for example, here. Then one move, second move, third move, they will be arriving in Nottingham. Then this will allow, of course, the sheriff to use them and put them here. There are also places to show whether the parish is submit or revolt. And that will be all for the map. I believe we went through the whole part. So guys, I'm extremely happy and extremely excited to play this game. It looks delicious. I can also tell you the secret that I have a pleasure of playing this like 3 years ago when it was first presented on San Diego Historical Con by Harold Bohannon, and then it was still in the works. It made a great impression on me. I was curiously and anxiously waiting for this game to be finally out, and it is now. I am going to bring this to the table, especially with my colleagues who are new to the coin games. I have a lot of people who really would like to get into this system, who really would like to understand it, who are a little bit scared when I say, okay, maybe we'll play Fire in the Lake. Too heavy. Okay, maybe something smaller. I believe those games like the British Way, now the Gest of Robin Hood, does a lot to our hobby, and pushes it forward, brings new players to it, and yeah, make it really more accessible. At the same time, not losing the depth of the play and beauty of many strategies which can be used here. So that's all for today. A little longer than I thought for the unboxing and overview, but I hope that you enjoy it. I'm going to, of course, continue with the materials. There will be how to play video. There will be example of play video. I'm going also to play with a cube for me trays to have some sets for this fantastic game. Maybe I will also do a short movie which will be presenting this. That's all for today. If you like this video, do not hesitate and give a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content like that, kindly please subscribe. Every subscription counts for such a small content creator like the Board Games Chronicle. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and thank you for being with me. Bye.